want you to also talk about the international mobilization, especially through the UN mechanism and the global women's movement, which the Comfort Women movement has inspired, but which has also established a further strong, robust path towards justice on crimes against women under war and armed conflict.
So you have two wars ongoing, the war in Yugoslavia and the genocide in Rwanda in the early 90s. And that was exactly the same period that the Comfort Women came out. And so I wouldn't say the timeliness of it, but it really verified the stories of the Comfort Women. It verified the issue of rape and sexual slavery and torture and mutilation of the women that testified. But as I was saying, this was a period where the global events also connived with us, because by 1992, leading to the World Conference on Human Rights in Vienna in 1993, there was a preparatory meetings being held for the conference in Geneva. And during this time, Charlotte Vance, Roxana Carrillo, Florence Botegua, Asma Jahangir, Hina Jilani, Alda Fascio was there, Gladys Acosta was there, Maria Suarez from Nicaragua. I mean, we gathered together in Geneva. It was at that time UNIFEM who brought us there to lobby for the recognition of women's human rights in the United Nations preparatory meetings. So what we did was we brought the Korean Comfort Women themselves and the Filipino Comfort Women. We went to Geneva and we lobbied the Commission on Human Rights to pressure the Japanese government to recognize compensation and reparation for the Comfort Women. The national movement was developing through pickets and rallies and, talking to the media about the issue at the global level. We were already seated at the preparatory meetings in the United Nations, trying to change the language in the platform for action leading to Vienna. So it was a confluence of this event that brought us there. And so by the time we reached Vienna, and there was a lot of events in Vienna, including the Tribunal on Women, we were ready to bring the survivors, the victims, and other women leaders. So those events allowed us to come together with Lepam Lajenovic, who was leading the group, coming from the former Yugoslavia, of women who just came out from rape and sexual slavery. And then you have women from Latin America. So that natural gathering of women by the hundreds became a key role to influence the normative framework that is being developed in Vienna on women's rights as human rights. So when we were in Vienna, for the first time, we set up a women's caucus that all the women activists at the World Conference gathered together. And I happened to chair the Women's Caucus at the World Conference on Women in Vienna. And we really made a difference during that period because it was just all women of all colors coming together and say, you have to recognize women's rights as human rights. And so it was also during that period, I remembered in 1993, that Radhika Kumaraswamy first became the UN Special Rapporteur on Violence Against Women. And Radhika Kumaraswamy came out with a very strong report on the Comfort Women. Her report was separate from other reports that she did. She did a standalone report on the Comfort Women, and one of her recommendations was specifically to put Japan for its responsibility to give reparations to the Comfort Women. Then after Radica, we also have the UN Special Rapporteur, which, by the way, we created on slavery and slavery-like practices, which was Gay McDougall. And so Gay McDougall also did a very strong report. She came to Japan and Korea and the Philippines and looked at and interviewed many of the comfort women, and her recommendations in her report, because by then the issue of sexual slavery has become a language in the United Nations, and that Japan has legal responsibility on the cases of the comfort women, and that, since the case of the comfort women was not heard at the International Military Tribunal of the Far East, known as the Tokyo Trial, then it is high time to recognize and acknowledge this crime committed against women. But during that period, I would also say that a special rapporteur on the right to compensation and reparation in wartime, Professor Theo van Woven from the Netherlands, also came out with a full report on the right to compensation and reparation of the comfort women. He made a strong report to the Japanese government, encouraging them to acknowledge, the right of the comfort women. So there were a lot of resolutions and recommendations coming from different rapporteurs, including the rapporteur on torture. He said that sexual slavery was torture, So a lot of this came out from the Commission on Human Rights, and that catapulted the issue of the comfort women to international level. And then we brought the case to CSW, which is known as the Commission on the Status of Women in New York. We also brought the comfort women there. They testified, and we gave recommendations and resolutions to the CSW on the cases of the comfort women, which by that time, because of the activism surrounding CSW, many women from different countries, and of course, the activists from the 10 countries, from Malaysia, Philippines, Indonesia, Taiwan, East Timor, all of them came out to support the comfort women and the activists in other countries. But I think the one that was really also very well marked was we brought the report to CEDAW, the Convention for the Elimination of Discrimination Against Women. So in our CEDAW report, we did, shadow report to CEDAW to again put the legal accountability, under international law and humanitarian law on the case of the comfort women. So a lot of efforts were done during this time. It mobilized other human rights organizations as well to acknowledge this issue and to rally behind the cases of the comfort women.
And eventually also the ICC, the Statute of the International Criminal Court, adopted in July 1998, has clearly defined rape, sexual slavery, enforced prostitution, forced pregnancy, forced sterilization as war crimes and all crimes against humanity. And they're very much linked with the comfort women movement.
And it was really, I think, a culmination of interrelating the case of the comfort women, of what happened to them during the Second World War, interrelating it to the different normative framework at the Commission on Human Rights, at the CSW, at the CEDAW, and eventually to the statutes of the International Criminal Court. And that was really a culmination of engraving and literally writing the legal responsibility and accountability of state parties that any forms of violence and sexual violence against women in wartime is a crime against humanity, It could be genocide and it could be a war crime.